Hello, nerds and nerdettes, and welcome back to the channel and happy soon to be new year. I figured why not continue the trend of waving goodbye to the year of 2023 that I started in my top 10 reads of 2023 video, which I can leave up above if you're curious of what appeared on my list. But in this video, we will be talking about my top 5 most exciting releases by DC Comics. For my Marvel fans, I will be making a Marvel dedicated video in a completely separate video where we'll focus on Marvel releases in 2023. But in this video, we will be strictly talking about DC releases and releases that came out during 2023. But a quick reminder that if you are looking for any of these books I'm about to mention, or any of the books that I've mentioned in the past, to check the channel sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. You can use the discount code STAYNERDY to save yourself $2 on that order, or you can use the code STAYNERDY ship it together when ordering 4 or more books to save yourself 5% on that entire order. It is a great way to save yourself some money when ordering from OPB, but it is also a great way to help support the channel. So thank you to all of you that do decide to use my code when ordering from OPB. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video, starting with, of course, number 5. And coming up first at number 5 is Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. This is a run that took place during the New 52, and I do know that the New 52 is fairly hit or miss for everyone in the community. You either hate it or you love it, and I tend to 9 times out of 10 love the New 52, but I do acknowledge that there are some complete stinkers during the New 52. Looking at You, Superman by Grant Morrison. Great beginning, fell apart at the end. But we're not talking about that book. We are talking about this one. This is such a refreshing and revamped look at Wonder Woman. Azzarello does what I've wanted someone to do with Wonder Woman for a very long time, and that is lean heavily into the fact that she is an Amazonian. She is from Themyscira. She is a warrior, and he does exactly that. Throughout this, you are going to have some action-packed scenes, a very action-forward story also. You're going to have a fresh new look at her origin and how she came to be as a character that I think is much more easier to digest than her previous origins. So I actually tend to enjoy her New 52 origins 9 times out of 10. But a lot of this has been changed or swapped out or retconned after New 52 kind of went away and we stepped into Rebirth. So a lot of this may not still stand, or you may figure out doesn't still stand in continuity, but still, it is great to read. It is such an incredible read. Wonder Woman kicks so much ass in this. She takes on gods and monsters from the Greek pantheon. She has there's a very interesting family dynamic that gets explored here, and that's not even touching on Cliff Chiang's art that just fits it. He's such a creative artist when it comes to his paneling, the choreography when it comes to fight scenes, and even the designs of certain characters and monsters and the look that Wonder Woman just has throughout this entire run, much less feminine and more heavily into just a strong female, like physically imposing. And I absolutely love that. I think it's a breath of fresh air. It's something that Wonder Woman needed for a very long time. It's one of the aspects that I've loved about Wonder Woman in other runs, but they've never leaned that heavily into that aspect. But I am so happy that this run came out, that this omnibus got another print in 2023, and I highly recommend this for new readers or people that do want to check out Wonder Woman but find her history to be a little confusing. This is a great place to start, even if it's not exactly in continuity anymore. Still, check it out. Next up at number 4 is A Whale of Mine, which is The New Frontier by Darwin Cook and Dave Stewart. This is a deluxe edition that I've wanted for a very, very long time. I always saw, but it was never in very good condition. I've seen in the wild multiple times, and the pages were yellow, but finally I have a pristine copy that is mine, and I was able to reread it once again, and it is such a great story. Easily Darwin Cook's magnum opus. This is a love letter to the golden age of comics. This is a great and fresh retelling of the golden age of comics also, or I guess more silver age of comics, excuse me. But it's all written and drawn by the legendary and late great Darwin Cook, and I highly recommend it to new readers. I think this is so palatable to new readers that want kind of that history of the DC universe that took place throughout its timeline of existing, but want it in a much more easier digestible palette or book. And that's exactly what you have here. There's no long dialogue sequences like we saw in the Silver Age and Golden Age. This is much more compact, broken down, and it is absolutely so awesome. You have three characters that aren't typically focused on taking the main focus of this story. 9 times out of 10, we have Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman taking the focus in a Justice League story, because this is a Justice League story. But throughout this particular title, you have Flash, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter taking the main focus. And that's probably the aspect that I love the most about this story, because those characters really don't have a massive fan base. I mean, they do have their dedicated fans, but it's nowhere near Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman levels, and it's great to have the main focus on those characters so they have their time to shine and people can discover those characters if they haven't discovered them before. So really, really good stuff. It's so admirable that Darwin Cook is writing and drawing this particular story, only really having help by Dave Stewart. And that is just so cool to see. It's so awesome to understand that this was from one man's mind, and it just makes it that much better. Do yourself a favor, hunt it down. It is definitely worth the read and super, super good for new readers that want the history of DC, but a little bit more simplified, if you will. So definitely check it out. And coming in at number 3 is Batman Nightfall Volume 1. This was a longtime whale of mine also. I always saw it on the aftermarket, but I didn't act on it because it was always going for insane and ludicrous prices, especially those volumes 2 and 3. But they are reprinting these. I'm sure we're going to get a volume 2 and a volume 3 since we have a volume 1. But this is probably my favorite era of strictly Batman, of a Batman title. It's either this or No Man's Land. Those can usually go hand or hand. But man, this is such a great story. This is the introduction of Bane. This explores the storyline that broke the Bat, treading lightly there. Incredible storytelling, such a awesome build up to the climax. You just keep reading and reading and learning more and more about this character, Bane, this sinister and intimidating new powerhouse that is in Gotham. You get his origins in this omnibus. It is so awesome. Has one of my favorite scenes in comics, which is Bane being at Wayne Manor. If you've read it, you know what I'm referencing there. That is such an incredible panel. But man, I am so happy that these are finally getting reprinted. I say that loosely because DC can do DC things and just not reprint volumes 2 and 3, but fingers crossed that that's not going to happen. Logically, you'd think it is, so I'm going to think more logically, but we never know these days with DC. But man, I cannot recommend this enough if you haven't read it. I personally think volume 1 is probably the best aspect of Nightfall. It doesn't get better or worse after volume 1. I'd probably say volume 3 is another high point, but volume 1, just that build up of Bane and that fight that is to come, just absolutely an incredible story, an incredible era of Batman. You see a new mantle swap of the character of Batman. Who that is, you can find out by reading, but such good stuff. Has Asbat, that iconic 90s costume. If you don't know what I'm referencing there, then you gotta read to find out also. But such great stuff. Definitely happy DC put this out and I can finally add it into my collection. And coming in at number 2 is Batman and Robin by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. This is also a longtime whale of mine. When this got reprinted, I was through the moon. I remember seeing this in Wild right before it went heavily out of print, and I was kicking myself so hard that I didn't pick it up. But we got a reprint that same year, and it was so glorious to finally add this into my collection. This is actually my favorite Batman title and Batman oriented run. Not necessarily my favorite era, but my favorite run. Those are different things. Maybe we can get into that in a different video, but this has Peter J. Tomasi exploring his very familiar at this point, because he's done it in other runs, and this won't be the first time you see or last time you see Patrick Gleason on this list, just an FYI. But you have him building a family dynamic between Batman and the new Robin, Damian Wayne, Batman's son, Bruce Wayne's son. And he really leans heavily into that family dynamic, which is kind of a Peter J. Tomasi trope, and I always tend to love it because he just builds the building blocks of characters and the relationships between the two characters, and he really makes Damian Wayne just so much more layered when it comes to his trials and tribulations of being a new Robin, of being Batman's son, of being the son of Talia al Ghul and the heir to become the demon. But man, it is just such an interesting run too. The dynamic between Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne, and Bruce trying to teach Damian the ropes of what it means to be a hero and the do's and don'ts when being a hero, so cool. And definitely in the beginning you also get some Dick Grayson Batman, which I always love Dick Grayson as Batman personally. I know some people can take it or leave it, but such great stuff. This also took place during the New 52, so mileage may vary depending on your, I guess, how you received New 52 and the runs that took place during it. But this is another highlight for me. This is personally my favorite New 52 run, at least the Batman Robin portion that took place during the New 52, because this omnibus takes place before the New 52 and then in the New 52. It's kind of confusing, but still, the Batman Robin run during the New 52 is definitely worth reading, worth checking out. If you're not a fan of Damian Wayne, read this, and then maybe read Super Sons, because you will become a fan of his. Don't just base it off Grant Morrison's run. There's way more to the character that you can read and enjoy, and this omnibus is one of them. But so happy this got a reprint, and it's now in my library. But do yourself a favor and check it out. And if you have, let me know down below what you think. I'd love to hear from you guys. I told you guys that wouldn't be the last time you saw Peter J. Tomasi, and here he is once again. Green Lantern Corps by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, the omnibus. Similar to why the past two omnibuses made an appearance on my list, because they were longtime whales, this is making an appearance on my list because this is one of my most wanted omnibuses of all time. And I am so happy that we finally have it. This is a sister series to the Green Lantern by Jeff Johns, which is my favorite comic book run ever, but very similar to that of Batman Robin by Peter J. Tomasi and Superman by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. He leans heavily into the family dynamic, or I guess more the friendship and partner dynamic throughout the Green Lantern Corps, introducing you to new characters, fleshing out characters like Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Kilowog, Stell, Saddam Yacht, who is one of my favorite Green Lanterns ever. Such an interesting character and really gets a lot of focus throughout this run. But really great stuff. I've been wanting this omnibus for a very, very long time, and it always baffled me that we had Green Lantern by Jeff Johns, but we didn't have Green Lantern Corps. This does double dip a little bit with the Jeff Johns Volume 1, but still, there's so many characters here to get to know, to fall in love with, and it just builds up the lore of the Green Lantern world that much more. All of the aspects that a lot of people love from the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run, and that lore building story that he kind of established there, is also done in this omnibus, but with different characters rather than strictly focusing on Hal Jordan. And that's honestly what I probably love the most about this title, is that it is a team book. It doesn't focus on just Hal Jordan. You get a lot of focus on so many characters, and it just raises the stakes that much more, because you don't know if everybody will make it out alive, and maybe they don't. You may have to read to find out, but definitely worth the read. So happy DC finally came to their senses and made this, and we can finally add it into our Green Lantern library section, or a Green Lantern shelf. So super happy. Can't believe it's here, but here it is, my #1 release of 2023 by DC Comics. And that does wrap up today's video. I do apologize, I am sick once again. I don't know why I keep getting sick, but I hope my voice doesn't sound too nasally or too strained, because I do feel like I'm screaming right now just to get these words out. So I do apologize for that. But thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate all of you guys always tuning in, all of the loyal members of our community that I've met and become friends with throughout this year of doing YouTube. If you could comment down below, let me know what your most exciting DC releases were. Obviously, I didn't pick up everything released by DC. DC obviously releases at a much slower rate than Marvel, but these are my 5. But I always like to hear what your 5 are, what you're reading, what you're excited about. So sound off in the comment section down below. Also, if you are not a part of the Illuminati and you want to join the community, you can hit that subscribe button and join the community, become a member of the Illuminati. This is such a great community that I'm so happy to be a part of. Also, if you do me a favor and hit that thumbs up icon, it's a little gesture that means a lot to us on the channel. So please and thank you. And also, if you did enjoy today's video and you want to be notified anytime I put out any other content, you can hit that bell icon. That way you can get notified anytime content is uploaded. But thank you again for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I will see you on Monday. And of course, stay nerdy.